The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. Imagine traveling around a city you have never visited before. One of the most important things you can do is get a map. When you encounter different situations and problems in life, you use a different kind of map or an intellectual perspective to navigate those situations. This perspective represents the way you see the world, not on the basis of sensory vision, but on the basis of imagination, understanding, and interpretation according to your point of view. This is the main reason why opinions are subjective and differ from person to person. Going back to the example of the city and assuming that you are lost, if you have a positive intellectual perspective, you will find that it will give you a positive feeling, a sense of adventure if you will. On the other hand, if you have a negative intellectual perspective, then you will feel distress and tension because you have lost the way. In order to be able to obtain radical changes in your life, you have to change your intellectual perspective so that it becomes a positive and objective perspective. To explain this meaning, the book's author Stephen Covey recounted a story about a man who rode the metro one day accompanied by his children, who were crying at the top of their heads. Covey could not stand the noise and shouted furiously at the father. The man suddenly paid attention and said to him, "Excuse me, their mother died in a hospital a little while ago and I am still in shock. So I did not notice the shouting. I am so sorry." Covey wished he'd waited a little before judging the man. That was the moment Covey's intellectual perspective changed from rage to compassion, mercy, and the willingness to help. Therefore, the writer stresses the importance of knowing a person with his different intellectual perspectives and changing what is necessary of them, and he explains that a person should focus on changing his perspective, especially with regard to basic principles such as honesty, justice, integrity, and human dignity. That is the first step to acquiring and developing the 7 habits. To remember, changing your perspective is the first step to making radical and positive changes in your life. Human beings have unique characteristics that stand out from other beings. We possess freedom of choice, self-awareness, imagination, conscience, and free will. When we are exposed to negative stimuli, we have complete freedom to respond to the situation in any way that we choose. Most of the time, we are not hurt by the situation we face. Rather, we are hurt by our response to it. The first habit, which is the initiative habit, is considered one of the most important habits that help in these cases. The word initiative means to take a step forward, meaning that we, as human beings, are responsible for our lives, and that our behavior is the product of our decisions, not our circumstances. And people who have strong initiative are fully aware of the meaning of taking responsibility and do not link their behavior to the circumstances or conditions they find themselves in. The same type of people use phrases like, "What alternatives are available to us?" or "I can choose a different way." People who don't take the initiative usually say phrases like, "I do not have any other choice," or "They will not allow me to do this." To help you realize if you have the initiative habit, imagine the two circles, one in the other. The outer circle, let's call it the circle of interest, are the things that cause you anxiety and fear, such as work problems or money problems. In the smaller circle, called the influence circle, it contains all the things that are under your influence. People with initiative focus on the circle of influence and choose to work on things that they have the ability to change, and this results in an expansion in the circle of influence. Unlike what happens to people with no initiative focus on the circle of interest and what it contains of things that they cannot influence or solve, and thus the circle of influence begins to shrink. The initiative habit is considered an important and influential habit and works even in the most extreme circumstances. To clarify, let us take a look at the story of Viktor Frankl. During World War II, he was arrested and sent to German Nazi camps, where he went through an extremely difficult experience. It was very hard for him to bear. He was tortured frequently, his family was completely destroyed with the exception of his sister, and his dignity was violated many times. One day, while he was sitting in his cell, he realized what he later called the last human liberty, which is the freedom that no one could take away from him. Even though the prison guards have the ability to completely control his body and his surrounding environment, deep down he knew how it would affect him, and between what happens to him and his response to it, he was able to see himself be free of the camp and give lectures to students at a university about the lessons learned during his torture. That gave him the freedom and power of choice to withstand the tragedies he faced. Through these exercises in self-control, he was able to create his own freedom that no one can take away from him. As Gandhi, another great initiative taker, said, "They cannot take our self-respect from us unless we give it to them." Point to remember: be proactive. Imagine you are 80 years old and someone is throwing you a birthday party. Imagine the faces of your family and friends coming to you to express their feelings towards you. What would you want them to say about you and your life? What would you like to hear from each of them about your qualities as a father, husband, grandfather, and friend? What are the accomplishments and contributions you want to consolidate in their memory and conscious? What difference do you want to make in each of their lives? Start living your life today with that image in your mind. Start with that end in your mind. That's where you will find everything you want to know about success and about your goals and dreams. Therefore, each part of your life, whether in your behavior today, tomorrow, or after weeks or months, will flow into the framework of what matters to you and what you really want to accomplish and achieve. You will give things your highest attention, which in turn will contribute meaningfully to your perspective of life. An important tool to help envision your goal in your mind is to write out your personal life message, which contains what you want to be as a person and how you want to contribute and succeed. This message would be completely different from person to person. A good example for someone is I will strive to balance my work and family, because both are very important to me. Another example is I will start with myself and be a proactive person to achieve my goals, and I will create my own opportunities and not get influenced by the world around me. The personal life message will be your constitution and the standard against which you measure your daily behaviors. It will also help you in making the most important decisions in your life. It is the compass that will always indicate what you really want in life. Why to remember? Begin with the end in mind. After acquiring the taking initiative habit and creating your personal life message that connects you with what you want to achieve, the next habit to work on is the most important before the important. Every day, you have to balance between many different demands of your time, from work, family, friends, and many others. Therefore, it is crucial to have efficient time management skills so that you can accomplish these tasks. One of the better tools that help is the time management matrix, which allows you to place your daily tasks based on two dimensions: urgent and important. We have a matrix of 4 cells, which are important and urgent, important and unurgent, unimportant and urgent, unimportant and urgent. Important and urgent tasks are the thing you must do now, such as crises, urgent problems, and specific projects with a deadline. In important and unurgent tasks, you have to set a specific schedule for accomplishing these tasks, such as writing your personal message, communicating with family and friends, and planning for the future. As for unimportant and urgent, you must delegate these tasks to another person, such as responding to emails or comments. As for unimportant and unurgent tasks, you should leave them and forget about them. The author believes that the most important box is the important and non-urgent tasks, as these tasks have the greatest impact on your life. As former US President Dwight Eisenhower said, the most important matters are rarely urgent, and urgent matters are rarely more important. But to remember, put first things first. Thanks for watching. Please follow our social media accounts. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also, comment below and share your thoughts on our book summary for this week.